Hey, me and Matt here, and I'm Killer Kyle. Welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. Hey, me and Matt here, this is Killer Kyle, and welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. Another double episode, if you will.
Yeah, usually when we do double bangers, it's back-to-back pay-per-views. But we have a new idea for this week and next week. We were going to do a look back at SummerSlam 99 this week, and then do 02 next week, and then head into TakeOver 36 and SummerSlam. But Matt was like, well, hey, why don't we do SummerSlam 99 and 02 this week, and then do a best and worst SummerSlam, and talk about SummerSlam 92 and 93.
Yes. There was definitely some talk about why I enjoy SummerSlam 92 and why I thought SummerSlam 93 was the absolute shits. That being said, I mean,
Yeah,
that would be interesting to see. But yes, SummerSlam 99, I tried to find highlights. And then there was a little bit, not too much.
yeah,
Still, from memory looking at it, it was a good show. And we did a lot of WWF in 1999
yeah,
in the last couple years anyway. So
yeah,
it was very cool to want to talk about it because I know that way back a few years ago anyways, I did a SummerSlam series. And
Right.
I was able to talk about it. And yeah, we'll see if it still holds up.
if your opinion is still the same, if your opinion changed, what have you. The thing it seems to be with finding highlights for something from any point in time, it seems to be a lot of times it's not very easy. You either come across a lot of reviews of, let's say, a pay-per-view from whatever year, let's say, and if there is highlights, it's like a few, or it's very, what's that word? Probably think of it. Highlights sometimes it's not very detailed. There's very little detail
Yeah.
in the, yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's true, and it's hard to find. You want to
Yeah.
do a review of a pay-per-view or whatever, and it is very hard to find,
Yeah.
unfortunately, so...
And if you won't watch a review someone else did to find out what happened, it's like, okay, you gotta take that and then formulate your own thoughts and opinions off of that, and yeah.
Yeah.
We have D'Lo Brown versus Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, so this is for both the Intercontinental and European title. And it's kind of interesting because it's not the first time that the Intercontinental and European title will be on the line. In fact, it was actually a few times, and that's what ultimately retired the European title. But,
Right.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown was the European champion.
Yeah.
And of course, doing a lot of very cool vignettes, calling himself the champion of Europe as you would, I guess. And
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett, Intercontinental champion. He was, at the time, tag team with Owen, and then Owen tragically died in May of this year. And yeah, so becoming the champion, still managed by Deborah.
Yes.
And so this was a good match. And I mean, Jarrett tried to pull out all the stops as well.
Right.
I mean, they went back and forth, obviously, and
Yeah.
Jeff ended up going over.
It was at this point when D'Lo was European champion.
Yeah.
I believe anytime he came to the ring with the championship, whether it been for like a pay-per-view or like a Monday Night Raw, they would always announce him from like a different country.
That's right, too.
So one time it'd be like, he'd be from like Germany, and then he'd be from Italy or France, and yeah. And it would be like, you know, Munich, Germany, Moscow, Russia.
No, that's, well, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Rome, Italy, like, that's not, you know, very specific to what this, you know,
Yeah.
the actual places that were used. That's just a general idea.
Right.
And it's like, talk about taking something and making it more,
Yeah.
not really better, but just like going above and beyond. Let's say, like, you have a championship. Not only do you say like you're the, you know, champion of Europe, but like to go the distance and like be relatable to like each individual part of Europe.
Yeah.
Say you're from, you know, being introduced from like each week different place in Europe.
Yeah.
That's really cool for that, and especially for like '99.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately with Christian, when he was the European champion, it wasn't the same thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, for '99, and you know, it's one of those years too where people get pissed off because, hey, there was way too many title changes. And I mean, yeah, okay, it was starting with The Rock, ending with The Big Show. But at the same time, you're not gonna have, there's like very rare that you get to see the champion have a long run. Like, I think
Yeah.
the last one was CM Punk. No.
No.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it made things interesting. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we have a unique angle to this match, but Big Boss Man versus Al Snow.
Yeah.
And kind of a backstory to the whole Boss Man feeding Al Snow his dog. By the way, later part of his WWF career, Ray Trailer had a lot of dark moments.
Yes.
In fact, there's the Big Show's daddy.
Yeah, the funeral.
Nah, there's a lot. But anyways, this was a good match too. Obviously, Mr. Fuji apparently got revenge from somebody by cooking their dog and feeding it to him. Now, obviously, you didn't see that actually happen.
No.
You know, it wouldn't be right, but
No.
this was still a good match.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Al Snow went over.
Yes.
I mean, Big Boss Man had a few moments in the match as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You obviously thought he was going to win, but
Yeah. I thought it was really neat how when they had Boss Man inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, his family was like, they made reference of this rivalry, and they're like, that actually didn't happen. Like,
yeah.
it was for storyline, and no dogs were harmed in this storyline.
Oh yeah, I would hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, that match, the dog pound match, was brutal as well.
Yeah, it was brutal. I do remember watching an interview with Al Snow talking about that match, and he made a remark about the dogs that they used for that match were not, you could say, properly trained or not,
That's an understatement.
what he expected
Yeah.
it to be, because he was thinking, police dog, like barking constantly and wanting to attack and wanting to fight and all this other stuff. Then you got like one dog peeing on the floor, two dogs trying to fuck each other, and
Yeah.
it's like, that, like, the match was good, and it seemed to be a large part of the match took away, like, they did reference the dogs, but, large part of the match took the focus away from the dogs,
Yeah.
and it was a good thing because, like, yeah.
Don't work with kids or animals, as the saying goes.
And, like, even Al Snow said, he, talked to whoever, and he's like, these dogs are going to be, vicious and mean and, all this other stuff. And then whoever he was talking to was like, oh, yeah, 100%. And then, night of this match, and, like I said, he was expecting, like a vicious police dog, and ended up getting a wimpy house dog or something anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. But interesting match, to say the least.
And, like, that is the only match where they've had the concept of, like, a steel cage around the ring and then a larger cage over top of that. It was like, the regular old school blue steel cage, and then, like, Hell in a Cell surrounding that.
Yeah. For sure.
So, like, yeah, that was very cool. I was trying to think of the proper way of putting it, like, without using the term, well, I could have said, like, double cage, but, anyway. So next we have Ivory against Tori
Yeah.
for the women's championship.
Yeah. And yeah, not too much I'm gonna say about Tori. She's not underrated by any means. I just think
No.
she was there. She was with DX for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, the new installment, whatever, as X-Pac's girlfriend and
Yeah.
whatever there. Obviously, Ivory, very famous wrestler, going way back to Glow, and Ray to Censor, obviously, but
Yes.
this was really good too. And I mean, they are very talented wrestlers once they get down to it, and yeah, Ivory went over in this one.
Yeah. Hearing of Ivory's previous wrestling experience, you could say,
Yeah.
going back to Glow, I wonder how many people at this point in time, the mid to latter part of the 90s, would have known or even remembered
Yeah.
Ivory, being, I don't even remember what
Tammy.
being Tammy during her Glow days.
Yeah. No, I honestly had no idea.
I didn't have any idea either, and then I think it was her Hall of Fame induction speech actually made reference of it, like, oh, so, like, and Glow was,
Gorgeous ladies.
Early-
wrestling. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
yes, I know what it stands for. I was going to say,
Early 80s.
Glow was like early 80s, so at this point in time, she had already been, you could say, in the business for probably 15 years at least.
Yeah. Well, first time I found that out, it was like Brian Zane talking about it.
Yeah.
Wrestling with regret, so that was pretty cool. You know, I don't know why I didn't know that. Well, you don't know a lot of promotions, and I try to figure out each year and try to watch some, but anyways. Enough of me rambling.
Yes.
Sorry. That was a good match as well, and I think that Ivory, you know, I could see her come back for maybe a little bit, you know.
Potentially.
I mean, she was one badass motherfucker, and
Oh yes.
I
Oh
think
yes.
she would, well, especially with the PG era that they had, it would have been cool to see.
Yeah, I think Ivory could have done fairly well in the PG era.
Yeah.
Because Ivory was one of those people that could cut a really good promo and get a point across without being like overly wordy and like using profanity.
Well, that too, but also she never yelled.
True.
I mean, I don't remember her ever yelling in a promo. Kind of like a Jake Roberts in a way. Like, she didn't speak softly, but, you know, it was intimidating.
Oh yeah. Like, the thing with Jake was, you know, he spoke softly and, you know, really made you pay attention.
Yeah.
Ivory could get your attention just when she spoke, but like you say, she had that intimidating presence.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, you know, you go back to the days of Harley Race. Again,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a guy that anytime he did a promo, didn't raise his voice, didn't yell, but when he spoke, he got your attention and you were intrigued about what he had to say.
Oh, yeah. There's him, Nick Bockwinkel,
Yeah.
Jake Roberts. There's a bunch of guys that... Even Dean Ambrose, or John Moxley, you know. It doesn't yell that much.
Like, John does have his intense moments, but there's a lot of moments where he, you know, will cut a promo and just be so good at it that from the get-go of first words being said, they got your attention.
Yeah.
And another thing about it too is, you know, Ivory, like, all these people are very articulate
Yeah.
and, you know, could deliver the point and get the point across and not need to yell and, you know, be a riled up bundle of energy, just neutral, mellow, calm, and just speak
Yeah.
as is.
Like her feud with China was
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
So now we go on to a Lion's Den match. We've got Steve Blackman versus the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Holy shit. That was a good match.
Oh, yes.
They, you know, the weapons were used. They explored the octagon, or whatever you want to call it. And this was a time where Vince McMahon wanted to include more MMA
Yeah.
style matches. You know, Ken Shamrock, you had Dan Severn, Steve Blackman. I don't believe, well, he was an MMA fighter,
Yeah.
but this match really was the best in that period, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock, everybody would know from UFC, having competed in UFC before, you know, doing the WWE thing. Steve Blackman probably was more like the, you could say, underground fighter, probably.
Yeah. But this was cool. Ken Shamrock obviously won, but it was brutal.
Oh, yeah.
And I think at that time, you didn't see too much of that. I mean,
No.
it was still pushing the limits, but it wasn't to that effect.
Yeah.
I don't believe anyway, so.
Yeah, this rivalry with Ken and Steve was actually very good and very intense. Yeah, the Lions Den match, and one big say match that they had, I remember, about this time period, 99, maybe 99, 2000, was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was very similar to what they did a few years later with Eddie Guerrero and John Cena.
Yes, yeah, the parking lot brawl.
Well, just like the circle of cars and people standing on the other side, and just them in the middle of the cars fighting, and then whoever was left standing won.
I was there when it happened, not there, but I was watching it at that time and thought, holy shit, this was actually one of the best ideas that they've had in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good Vince McMahon, or whoever it is, can be sometimes. And I think a lot of people forget that, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, unique matches are always fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, this is totally off topic, but worth bringing up. That's one good thing about AEW. They have these really good specialty matches, if you will, and they've gotten really good at using them for specific times or specific events. Just recently, Nick Gage and Chris Jericho, or this cage fight with Jake Hagar and Wardlow, or John Moxley and Kenny Omega.
Oh, yeah.
The death match, or whatever else. The blood and guts match with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you that those types of special matches, it's not forgotten about and it's not dead. It's just, I think the wrestling business has evolved to a point now where they understand the utilization of these matches and, appropriate times to use a match. Even you can go back to the first gimmick match, if you want to call it that, special match, whatever you want to call it. They had Cody and Wardlow in the cage.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So now we go on to, this was a very, very interesting rivalry. Shane McMahon and Test.
Here comes the Test, and the hole with the enormous breasts. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, this was the time where Test and Stephanie McMahon were kayfabe dating. Yeah, shading. And, of course, Shane being the older brother didn't much care for that. But this was a good match. And, I mean, these two really beat the shit out of each other. I know I've said this many times before, but Shane McMahon will always be, in my opinion, a street fighter.
Yeah.
And that was true to this. And I mean, I know the year after that, he faced Steve Blackman and had fallen off that platform.
Yes.
But this was a really good match too. And Test actually ended up going over.
Yeah, yeah. And it was quite sad when Test unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
When he did, because, he still had a lot of potential in him.
Fun fact, this guy jumped around a lot in subjects, but my math teacher had coached him in, I think, football, something like that. But yeah, if Andrew Martin would have kept his nose clean, or whatever, I think he would have really made it a lot more than he did.
Yeah.
Like, going to Impact was fine,
Oh, yeah.
but it was almost like one of those things, just like Owen Hart, we were robbed.
Yes. Yes.
You know, this guy had so much potential, and then he fucked it all away. And, you know, what if that person that saw him on the ground called 911? Who knows? If things would have changed.
Yeah.
At the same time, he could have been lying there forever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a real shame that he
So, now we have this match, a take team match player.
Hello.
We got the Big Show and the Undertaker versus Kane and X-Pac!
Kinda hate it.
Yeah. This was a time when DX broke up
Yes.
shortly after WrestleMania. And yeah, Kane and X-Pac had a tag team for
Yeah.
a few months, and I always wondered why Kane didn't go green and black, and I think he did once.
Yeah, he did once, but it didn't last very long.
But this getup that he had, the black and then the red right there, the backwards costume, if you will, I don't know. But Big Show and Taker had one of the best take teams of that time. I mean,
Yeah.
they really had it. They were just the best.
Yes.
You know, taking out Steve Austin and Mankind, or The Rock and Mankind, or, you know, X-Pac and Kane. Which I know that X-Pac and Kane really tried to dominate in this match, especially Kane, obviously, but yeah, the teamwork of Big Show and Undertaker, they won this match.
Yeah, Big Show and Undertaker were very good tag team, and very few tag teams in wrestling at this point in time that had that intimidating factor.
Yeah.
Because, like, Big Show's fucking over 7 foot. Undertaker's hovered around the 7 foot mark. And, you know, just two really intimidating dudes. They worked really, really well together. And I remember Big Show talking about how great of an influence Undertaker was on his career.
Oh yeah, going under the learning tree. Yeah, you know, if he would fuck up, you have Undertaker with his crooked finger going like this.
Yeah.
And, you know...
He's like, oh shit, what I do now?
And he wasn't like, you know, berating Paul. It was just, you know, you fucked up, you gotta not do it. You gotta...
Yeah, whatever Big Show would have done, Undertaker would be like, alright, you know, cool your jets, don't do that again, you know, okay, we'll let you get away with this one this time, but, you know, you fuck up again, you're gonna pay severe consequences.
Yeah, and I think that it goes with anybody. I mean, it's too bad Nathan Jones didn't get in when, like, get more matches in WWE
Yeah,
when he was supposed to, or he should have.
yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And with Kane and X-Pac, they were a fairly good tag team, very entertaining to watch. It just seemed to be, at this point, like, prior to Kane being unmasked, this was WWE's way of trying to humanize Kane, if you will. And it's like, okay, it was good, and it worked, but, like, you know, when he, even though they had these little moments of, you know, Kane talking or whatever, Kane was still the big red machine, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kane's got 2 words for you. Suck it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, I mean, as much as Kane was a good singles wrestler, he will always be known as a tag team wrestler.
Oh, yeah, whether it be, you know, Kane and X-Pac, Kane and Undertaker, Kane and Daniel Bryan,
Kane and RVD.
Kane and RVD.
the Hurricane.
Yeah.
You know, just that feel. And I commend Glenn Jacobs for doing that. I
Yes.
mean, he really brought up the best in those guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But,
Yeah, I think Kane may be one of the few guys in the business that had a very even blend of singles and tag team competition, being
Yeah.
a singles and tag team competitor.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. To Rock and Billy Gunn, the one Billy Gunn, or Mr. Ass, depending.
well, you know, stupid too. And I can't remember who Billy Gunn wrestled. But the stipulation was if he lost, then he couldn't say he was badass Billy Gunn anymore.
Yeah.
So, the one Billy Gunn. That was dumb. I
Yeah.
rhymed, but it was dumb. Of course, I botched the epic in-ring promo that The Rock cut.
Yeah.
My name is Billy. I won King of the Ring, but everybody still thinks that I absolutely suck. And obviously, Billy Gunn, as a singles wrestler, like we talk about, you know, X-Pac as a singles wrestler
Yeah.
and or a tag team wrestler. Well, whatever. And
Yes.
it just seems like, you know, yeah, he was the Intercontinental Champion, yeah, he was the Hardcore Champion, but could he have done more? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Not entirely sure, but just having a closer look at the image here, and this was a kiss my ass match.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. So, you had this match as a kiss my ass match.
Mm-hmm.
You had Sheamus and was it Dolph Ziggler?
Yes.
The kiss my ass match.
Mm-hmm.
You had friggin' Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart in a kiss my foot match. And you had Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole in a kiss my foot match. What was WWE's fetish with kissing body parts? Like, honestly, kiss my foot, kiss my ass, fuck you! Anyways.
Suck my cock next. Anyways, this was good, and then The Rock definitely went over. I mean, there's no... I'm sure that Road Dogg tried to get involved,
Probably.
but yeah, this was The Rock. He did the rock bottom, people's elbow. Obviously, you knew that was gonna be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was still a really good match, though.
It was even at this point in time, too, Mr. McMahon had to kiss my ass club, so, I
Oh,
mean,
God, yeah. No, that was 2001, but I digress.
still within this time period.
Exactly. So, the main event, you have, because we're in Minnesota, at the time, Governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, referee this match. You've got a triple threat for the WWE title. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, and Mankind.
Yep.
Yep.
Jesse Ventura did referee at least one other match in WWE, maybe 2, or what have you. And, you know, Jesse, I'm sure, was very much respected. And, yeah.
Well, when you look at him here, and you look at him like years later, let's say it was WrestleMania 20,
Mm.
he, like, here he looks built like a big shit house.
Mm.
It just seems like through the years he's kind of lost that.
Yeah.
A little bit anyways, in
A
my
little
opinion.
bit, yeah.
And yeah, this match, you know, I tried and I tried and I tried. And you know, it really pisses me off because you had the guy Stone Cold Steve Austin as your champion. You had the broken skull belt. It was very cool. And then you had this match. This match was awesome. It really was. But Austin got his knee hurt, or something like that. You had Triple H give him the pedigree. And Mankind pushes him away, and he gets the win. Now, that was all fine and good. I had no issue with Mankind going over. I mean, Austin, as much as he was my favorite, yeah, he lost. The next night on Raw, Triple H demands a match with Mankind and wins the title for the first time. Do you have any idea how stupid that was? Because you could have had Triple H go over at SummerSlam if you were going to do that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason for that. And Mick Foley should have stayed the champion. At least till the next pay-per-view. But no, we have to have, Triple H win on Raw. And I know I talked about it last time when we did King of the Ring 98. And we have Kane win at 98. You know, he won the title. But then, of course, losing it to Steve Austin the next night. But you know, this is the kind of shit that Vince does all the time. And we have to have the son-in-law win. But you know what? We couldn't at least have a few weeks with Mick Foley. No, we gotta have Mick Foley lose the title when we have Triple H win the title at SummerSlam. But no, we have to have Triple H win. And you know, it's kind of pissing me off because Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know what? He could have actually retained. But who knows? You know, it was not good logic then, and it's not good logic now. In my opinion, this was the shit, and it should never have happened. But, you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah. It seems to be that, you know, not very often does it happen, but every once in a while you have these moments of, you know, somebody winning a match on, let's say, a pay-per-view, and then the next night on Raw, losing it to somebody else, and it's like, what the fuck's the point in putting the championship on them if they're gonna lose it on Raw the next night?
But you also look into the consideration, yeah, Triple H, that would have been his first time as WWF title champion.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have him win on Raw when he could have won in a big pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There was no fucking reason.
Yeah.
You know, and it just doesn't make any sense. And it didn't make sense then, and it doesn't make sense now. There was no fucking excuse.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? And you know what? He had many more title reigns. I mean, this was obviously the last time Mick Foley would have held the WWF title.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
anyways, that was SummerSlam 99.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like I said, this was a good year. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, we had a lot of champions, but, you know, it was still fun.
Yeah.
You know, I was in 9th grade and really loving the whole Steve Austin Rock feud.
Oh yeah, for sure.
and having fun, just, you know, arguing with people who was the best, and, you know, yeah, just, you can't go back and relive that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I know that you were 10, I'm not sure how often you watched wrestling.
Well, I watch wrestling pretty much consistently.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of that year?
99 was actually a fairly good year, and you know, it was only 2 years later that, you know, WWE would have to get the F out and become WWE. But this time period was actually fairly good, you know. You had the unfortunate passing of Owen, but aside from that, a really, really good year.
Yeah.
A lot of really good feuds, a lot of really interesting feuds,
Oh, yeah.
really good matches, really interesting matches, and, you know, could the Attitude Era gone a little bit longer? You could say that, but I think when it ended, when it did, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think at that point in time, not only was there the whole, you know, World Wildlife Fund suing the World Wrestling Federation for copyright or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It was probably due time for WWE to, well, they started to change when they became World Wrestling Entertainment, and then, you know,
Yeah.
completely evolve their product into something different for the millennium.
Yeah, and each decade, each year is going to be different.
Oh yeah.
And I think when WWF became WWE, and some people are like, that's when the product started to suck. I disagree.
Yeah, the product was still really, really good early 2000s.
Yeah, I think 2005 to like, I always say 2011. Well, I mean, besides Survivor Series, which we should do at some point.
Yeah.
But this, you know, was a good show. And, yeah. We'll see what more events from 1999 that we'll end up doing.
Yeah.
So anyways, stay tuned, because next we're going to be doing SummerSlam 2002.
Yeah.
And yeah, me and Matt and Kyle. I'll talk to you in a bit. Deuces.